What's up guys, I'm making a shaker style two-stepper step stool. Plans are in the description, so check them out and let me know what you think. This board is cut long enough to give me both of my short sides. This one will eventually be cut in half to make both of the long sides. It's so rewarding simply sawing to a line, and you can see in the background the stock prep power tools that I've just acquired that will hopefully help me accomplish some of my other goals. This long board is actually long enough to be all three of the half-dove cross rails. I'm going to rip 1.5 inches off of the long cross rail board in order to glue up and make my side pieces a little bit wider. Full disclosure, unlike my previous videos, these boards were flattened by machine. The kerf is closing in on my saw, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I always keep a couple of sawn off leg tapers laying around. I'll take that over table saw kickback any day of the week. Works like a charm. Next, I plane off the saw marks. This is the short side, still at double length, and I'm just going to edge glue to make it wider. Once the glue is dried, the number 5 jack plane works great to clean off the glue line. I work all the way across the board to keep it an even thickness. This is the tall side, and it's still at double length right now. Same deal, sharp jack plane will clean that off really well. Once everything's ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and cross cut to final length. Those are my two short sides. For my long sides, I'm going to use the old double cut technique. I left a little extra length on one of these to true it up at the shooting board. Then I just square up all the end grain on the shooting board. And then start marking baselines for dovetails. These dividers are set for 1/4 inch for my outer half pins. And I want 3 tails, so I'm going to step it 3 times, starting at the half pin mark and going right to the edge of the board like that, because I want my inner pins to be the same as my outer pins. And then I just need to walk it back in the other direction. I mark dovetails using a pencil. My mom gave me this dovetail gauge for Christmas a couple years ago, and I absolutely love it. Thanks, Mom. The focus point on cutting the tails is to cut straight across the board. And I'm going to cope out the waste. I still can't believe how long it took me to finally try coping out dovetail waste. I use the chisel to pop off a little ledge to saw against. Next, I chop out the waste right down to the baseline. I do a little relief chop before chopping directly on the baseline, unless my coping cut was really close to the baseline like in this next one. I then flip it and finish chopping out from the other side. Pine is really difficult to get nice crisp end grain with chopping, so you have to use really sharp chisels. And even then it's probably going to tear out a little bit, but it's not really any big deal. I mark the baseline of the cross rail half dove directly off the shoulder line of the tailboard. While I'm still in the zone of cutting things at an angle, I go ahead and cut the half doves for my cross rails. I mark the pins using a knife. And by the way, quick tip for you guys, a vertical line on the inside of your vise makes it quick and easy to place a board vertically. My focus when cutting the pins is to cut the line straight down. I cope out the tail recesses, trying to cut as close as I can to the baseline without passing it. I chop down to the baseline, and if I can manage to not chisel into my bench, then my day has gone from good to great. Sometimes that first assembly needs a little bit of persuasion. I take a knife and mark out for the back rail socket, and same with the front rail. On the front rail, I want it to protrude just a little bit so that I can plane that flush to the top at the end. This is kind of a deep cut to keep straight, so here's a little technique to give yourself a really deep shelf to put the saw against. Tap the chisel down with your hand, flick out the waste, and I do that 3 times here, and you can see I've got a really deep shelf, probably a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. On my vertical line, you can see I strayed off the line a little bit, but here's a cheat code to fix that. The back rail half dove socket is cut kind of like a dovetail. Saw down, cope out the waste. If you cut inside the marked lines, it's going to be a little bit too tight, but that can be easily trimmed off with a hand plane. It should fit nice and tight. And again, here you want to leave a little bit of a lip just so you can plane that flush at the end. On the front rail, the only difference is I cut out this block of waste and then mark out and cut. Once the front lower rail is fit, I'm going to cut a sweeping arc on the front edge of the side piece. I smooth out the coping saw marks with the spoke shave. I'm going to glue this up with liquid hide glue, which is just hot hide glue with a little bit of urea added to give it a longer open time. I've been playing around with mixing my own after falling in love with the old brown glue liquid hide glue. It makes the dovetail slip together easier. You don't have the seizing and binding that can happen with PVA glues. Also, a quick tip for gluing this up as two subcomponents rather than gluing up the two sides first. Make sure you've got 90 degrees for the legs. This is to avoid having a lot of work to flush up the two components after the glue up. As you can see here, this looks like it should be pretty easy to flush up with a hand plane after the final glue up. And I'm just simply going to edge glue this, and then once it's in place where I want it, I'm going to push down with a little bit of light pressure. The hide glue also works really well for edge joints because after holding a little bit of hand pressure, it's on there like a suction cup. As you can see, there's some good squeeze out. For an experiment, I edge glued these scraps together and hammered them apart. You can see that it broke the wood fibers but did not break on the glue line. So I have no reservations on an edge glue joint because it is stronger than the wood itself. Nothing beats a block plane for cleaning that little glue line up. To shape the legs, I mark 2 inches in from each edge and draw a little arc to connect those two. I clamp it to my bench and cope it out. Before applying the finish, I hit all the edges with the block plane. So I'm going to use this Danish oil mix. It's a recipe that's been around since the beginning of time. Danish oil is just a thinned oil, thinned linseed oil or thinned tung oil with a little bit of varnish in it. And this one is just a third boiled linseed oil, a third varnish, and a third mineral spirits. It'll be good for this project because it's very thin, so it'll penetrate down into the pine and stiffen it up just a little bit. Not as hard as like a water locks or something like that, but it will stiffen it just a bit. You just put it on really thin. It dries pretty quickly, and I'll just put 3 coats of this on this project. Sand it very, very lightly in between coats. just so it stays nice and smooth. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. Check out the plans, let me know what you think.